All right, so let's dive into cybersecurity today. You sent over some really interesting sources on the NIST cybersecurity framework version 2.0.
Yeah.
Looks like you're really trying to get at what's new, why it matters, and how it's going to shake things up for everybody.
Definitely.
We've got articles from the Business Continuity Institute,
Yeah.
analysis from NRI Secure in Japan,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and even a sneak peek at the official NIST documentation itself.
That's great.
So, pretty comprehensive picture here.
It is.
And one of the first things that jumped out at me was the scope of this update.
Okay.
Version 2.0 isn't just about critical infrastructure anymore. It's
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Small businesses,
Uh-huh.
massive corporations, you name it.
I think that's one of the most important things about it.
Yeah, and it really emphasizes this idea that cybersecurity isn't just a tech issue.
Right.
It's a core business risk that needs to be managed at
At every level, absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't calling cybersecurity an investment just a clever rebranding tactic?
Oh, that's a good question.
How do we know this will actually lead to real changes in budget allocation and a genuine shift in priorities?
Yeah, I think it's easy to be cynical about that.
Yeah.
But I think the new govern function really points to how this is going to be different.
Okay.
So, by placing cybersecurity risk on par with financial or reputational risk,
Right.
it forces leadership to take ownership and see it as a critical factor in the organization's success.
So no more cybersecurity being siloed off in the IT department's basement, huh?
Precisely.
Okay.
And, if you need more evidence for this, look no further than the fact that version 2.0 explicitly positions cybersecurity as an investment, not a cost center.
Right.
It's about protecting and enabling the business, not just checking boxes for compliance.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
But let's be honest.
Okay.
Previous versions of the framework were often criticized for being a bit too theoretical. What's changed in version 2.0 to make it more practical and actionable for organizations?
I think that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They've added implementation examples
Uh-huh.
and informative references for each subcategory.
Okay.
Think of it as a toolkit,
Okay.
complete with step-by-step guidance and links to relevant standards.
So no more vague recommendations. They're actually giving you the blueprints.
Exactly.
Wow.
And for smaller organizations or those just starting to grapple with supply chain risks, there are even quick start guides to help them navigate the framework.
Okay, and speaking of supply chains,
Yeah.
that seems to be a huge focus in this update.
Right.
Why the sudden emphasis?
Well, think about it. In today's interconnected world, your organization's cybersecurity is only as strong as the weakest link in your supply chain.
Right.
A single compromised vendor can have a ripple effect throughout the entire ecosystem.
So how does version 2.0 help organizations address this?
The new govern function tackles cybersecurity supply chain risk management head on.
Okay.
And there's a whole new category with 10 subcategories dedicated to identifying and mitigating risks from suppliers, partners, and third parties.
Okay, but that still sounds a bit abstract to me.
Okay, sure.
Can you give me a real-world example of a supply chain risk
Sure.
and how the framework might help address it?
Okay, so let's say you're a manufacturer
Right.
relying on a software vendor for a critical component of your production process.
Okay.
Now imagine that vendor suffers a data breach and their software is compromised.
Oh, wow.
This could potentially halt your entire production line, costing you time, money, and reputational damage.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Right. So the NIST CSF helps you proactively identify and mitigate this risk by guiding you through steps like assessing your vendor's security practices,
Okay.
requiring them to meet certain security standards, and having a plan in place to respond to incidents.
So you're saying it's not just about protecting your own organization?
Right.
It's about understanding the risks that exist throughout your entire network.
Exactly. And it's about building stronger partnerships based on trust and transparency.
Okay.
Organizations need to have a clear understanding of their supply chain's cybersecurity posture and work collaboratively to ensure everyone is meeting the necessary standards.
And that brings us to the NRI Secure article.
Yes.
Which gives us a glimpse into how Japanese businesses are incorporating the NIST CSF.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
It's a reminder that this framework has global reach
Absolutely.
and that different cultures might have varying approaches to implementation.
I think that's important to remember.
Absolutely. Now, the BCI article mentions some success stories about implementation. Are there any standout examples you've come across that would really resonate with our listener?
There are definitely a few that come to mind.
Okay.
One particularly impactful example is the financial services sector.
Oh, interesting.
They were early adopters of the NIST CSF, and we've seen some remarkable improvements in their overall cybersecurity posture and resilience, leading to a significant decrease in successful cyber attacks.
That makes sense. They're dealing with incredibly sensitive data.
Absolutely.
They're a prime target.
Right.
So seeing tangible results like that must be pretty compelling for other industries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another area where we've seen the framework making a real difference is in healthcare.
Okay.
With the increasing reliance on electronic health records and connected medical devices,
Right.
protecting patient data is more crucial than ever.
Absolutely.
By adopting the NIST CSF, healthcare organizations have been able to better identify and manage their risks, leading to a reduction in data breaches and other cybersecurity incidents.
So the framework isn't a one-size-fits-all solution,
Right.
but it provides a flexible roadmap that can be adapted to different industries and contexts.
You got it.
Okay, so we've talked about the expanded scope,
Yeah.
the new govern function, the shift to viewing cybersecurity as an investment,
Yes.
the wealth of practical resources,
Right.
and the emphasis on supply chain security.
It's a lot.
What else jumps out at you from these sources?
One thing that really struck me was the emphasis on continuous improvement.
Okay.
The NIST documentation really drives home the point that cybersecurity isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process of identifying, assessing, and managing risks.
So it's not about checking boxes, it's about building a culture of security and resilience.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about weaving cybersecurity into the very fabric of the organization, making it an integral part of every decision and every process.
That's a great point.
And that's something we'll delve into even further in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And building that culture, a culture of security and resilience.
Right.
It starts with recognizing that it's not just about the organization as a whole.
Okay.
Individual responsibility plays a crucial role too.
You know what? That's a really interesting point that you bring up.
Yeah.
None of these sources explicitly address the role of us, the everyday users, in this whole cybersecurity equation.
Right.
It's easy to think it's all in the IT department.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let's bring this down to earth for our listener.
Okay.
What does that actually mean for them personally?
Yeah.
How can they contribute to a stronger cybersecurity posture, both at work and in their everyday lives?
Well, I think strong passwords are a great place to start.
Okay.
And I don't just mean using password 123.
Right, yeah.
We need to be thinking about unique, complex passwords for each account and enabling multi-factor authentication whenever possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll admit, even I'm guilty of reusing passwords sometimes.
Sure.
It's just so much easier.
No.
But you're saying that's a big no-no in the grand scheme of things.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. If one of your accounts gets compromised and you've used that same password elsewhere,
Right.
the attackers suddenly have access to a whole treasure trove of your personal information.
Yeah, that's not a picture I want to imagine.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
so strong passwords, check.
Yep.
What else?
Being aware of phishing attacks is crucial. Okay.
Those sneaky emails or messages that try to trick you into giving away sensitive information. You always want to think twice before clicking on links or opening attachments from unknown senders.
Right.
And if something seems even slightly fishy, report it to your IT department or the appropriate authorities.
Think before you click.
Yeah.
That's a good mantra for the internet in general.
Absolute.
And while we're talking about good digital hygiene,
Yes.
let's not forget about software updates.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's so tempting to click remind me later when those update notifications pop up.
I know.
But those updates often contain crucial security patches
Yeah, they do.
that protect you from known vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
So procrastination isn't just bad for meeting deadlines, it's bad for our cybersecurity too.
You could say that.
Okay.
And finally, let's talk about the information we share online.
Okay.
The less sensitive information you put out there, the less likely you are to become a target.
So it's not just about protecting ourselves. It's about protecting the organizations we interact with too.
Exactly. We're all interconnected in this digital ecosystem. Cybersecurity is truly a shared responsibility. It's like a neighborhood watch program for the digital age.
I like that analogy.
We all need to look out for each other.
This is making me rethink my own digital habits, I have to admit.
Sure.
It's easy to get complacent when you haven't experienced a security breach firsthand.
I think that's true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's why frameworks like the NIST CSF are so important.
Okay.
They provide a roadmap for building a more secure and resilient digital world, both for organizations and for individuals.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a moment.
All right.
Talk big picture.
Okay.
What does the updated NIST CSF mean for the future of cybersecurity?
That's a big question.
Are we headed toward a world where we can actually stay ahead of the bad guys?
Well, I think it's certainly a step in the right direction.
Okay.
The fact that this framework is constantly evolving to address new threats and new technologies is encouraging.
That's good.
It shows that we're moving towards a more proactive and adaptive approach to cybersecurity.
And this framework isn't just for the big players, right?
No, it's not.
You mentioned earlier that it's adaptable and scalable for organizations of all sizes.
That's one of the things that makes it so powerful.
Yeah.
Whether you're a global corporation or a small business, the NIST CSF can help you build a cybersecurity program that's tailored to your specific needs and resources.
Okay. It's pretty impressive how much ground this framework covers.
It is.
Especially with all the new resources and guidance they've added in version 2.0.
Yeah, it speaks to the incredible amount of collaboration that went into creating it.
Oh, wow.
NIST worked with industry experts, government agencies, and international organizations to develop a framework that truly reflects the global nature of cybersecurity.
It's really a global effort.
It is.
So for a listener who's trying to wrap their head around all this,
Okay.
what's the main takeaway here? What's the one thing they should walk away remembering?
If I had to sum it up in one sentence, I'd say knowledge is power.
Okay.
The NIST CSF empowers organizations and individuals to take control of their cybersecurity destiny. By understanding this framework, you can make more informed decisions about how to protect yourself and your data in this increasingly complex digital world.
Beautifully put.
Thank you.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From the intricacies of the framework to these bigger picture implications for organizations and for each of us as individuals.
It's been a lot of fun.
But before we wrap up completely, there's one more thing I'd like to touch on. We've spent a lot of time talking about what's in the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0.
Right.
But what about what's missing?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Are there any blind spots?
Yeah.
Anything you think they might need to tackle more directly in future updates?
You know, one area I think deserves a closer look,
Okay.
and maybe some deeper development,
Yeah.
is the human element.
Okay.
The NIST CSF touches on awareness and training, sure, but I'd love to see it really dig into the psychology behind cybersecurity.
So you're talking about why people fall for those phishing scams.
Exactly.
Why we make terrible password choices despite knowing better.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
It's not enough to just tell people what to do.
Right.
We need to understand why they make the choices they do when it comes to security.
Yeah.
Once you grasp the human factors that contribute to risk, that's when you can design truly effective mitigation strategies.
So it's like cybersecurity meets behavioral science.
It really is.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a field that's gaining more attention, thankfully.
Okay, good.
Imagine if training programs weren't just checklists,
Right.
but actually tapped into how people learn and make decisions.
Yeah.
And what if systems were designed to be more resilient to those inevitable human errors?
Wow.
That's where the real breakthroughs could happen.
This deep dive has been eye-opening, to say the least.
It has been fun.
We've covered everything from the nuts and bolts of the NIST framework
Yeah, we really got in the weeds.
to these bigger picture implications for organizations and for each of us as individuals.
Absolutely.
So it's been a pleasure unpacking all of this with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And I truly hope our listener feels ready to take this knowledge and apply it to their own world, their own work.
For sure.
So whether you're a cybersecurity pro or just someone who wants to navigate the digital world safely and confidently,
Right.
the NIST CSF is a powerful tool.
It is.
So as you continue your journey into the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity, remember that knowledge is your most powerful asset.
Absolutely.
Stay informed,
Stay vigilant.
stay vigilant, and never lose that curiosity.
That's the key.
And with that, we'll bring this deep dive to a close.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe out there.
Bye, everyone.